If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Blog Talk Radio.
The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network. The Women of Golf show is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips magazine. iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, with insightful reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, helping you improve your game from tee to green. Good morning. Welcome to the Women of Golf, the #1 women's golf show around the world, with hosts Ted Odorico and Cindy Miller. Join them as they interview some of the best players from the Epson, LPGA, and Legends Tour, and so many others, helping to elevate women's golf. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Ted and Cindy.
All right, good morning, everybody, and once again, welcome to the Women of Golf show. I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside, of course, each and every week is none other than Legends Tour player and LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. Good morning, Cindy Miller.
Good morning, Ted Odorico. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. I just thought I'd throw a little extra zip in there this morning. So how are things? Before we bring out our first guest, we got a great show, by the way. We're going to be joined here in just a moment by a young lady who is currently up in Utah. We'll talk to her a little bit about that. Jaclyn Lee is an Epson Tour player and also has been part of the LPGA as well. And then a little bit later on, we're going to be joined by Leslie Myers, who is the president of HotGirlsPearls.com. Interesting to find out a little bit more about that. But as I was just telling you off air, last week, and stupid me, I forgot to mention it, was our 300th show that you and I have been together. So another little milestone, another box that we can check off, and I thought it was kind of interesting.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I'm serious. It's 300 shows, and it's just amazing. In some ways, it feels like the time has just flown by, and in other times you think, you would think it would be more than that because we've been doing this for a long time, and couldn't think of anybody better to have at my side than you, Ms. Miller. So thank you for all that you do. And
what a nice boy.
Yeah, my mother raised me well. So all right, so let's get on to the show here. We got a guest waiting for us. So as I mentioned, Jaclyn Lee is from the Epson Tour, and she enjoys other things. She enjoys some hiking, relaxing spa days, working out, fashion, reading, skiing, paddleboarding, traveling, and exploring. She admits to being an adventurous eater and foodie. We're going to talk to her about that a little bit later on. Her 2021 season in a nutshell, she played 10 events, 6 cuts were made. She also played collegiately at the Ohio State University, was part of the first team All Big Ten in 2018, and she was their scholar athlete in 2016, 17, and 18, and actually tied 5th at the 2018 NCAA Individual National Championship. And she's also a 6-year member, or was a 6-year member of Golf Canada's national team, so she is Canadian. And I didn't tell her this off air, but obviously, as you know, Cindy, I'm Canadian too, so we got something in common. So, Cindy, let's welcome our first guest this morning, Jaclyn Lee.
Good morning.
Hi.
Where in Canada are you from?
I'm from Calgary, Alberta, so really close to Banff National Park, where the gorgeous mountains are.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
How nice. And you went to the Ohio State University. That's awesome.
I did. Yeah, proud Buckeye over here.
Yeah, our son went there for 2 years and then transferred to Augusta State. So you know Therese?
Oh, gotcha. Yes, I do. Yes, she's a wonderful lady.
Isn't she?
I think they just celebrated her retirement from coaching at Ohio State at the Lady Buckeye that happened just this past week, which the girls actually also won their home tournament. So that was really exciting.
Very exciting. That golf course is a little difficult.
It is. Yeah, they actually have a U.S. Open women's qualifier there in about a couple weeks, and there's definitely going to be a lot of Buckeyes there.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Ted, where are you from, Canada?
Unfortunately, I'm from flat Ontario, so we don't have too many mountains in Ontario. But born in Hamilton, lived a lot of my life in Toronto, and a little bit out in Halifax, Nova Scotia for a few years as well. So I've moved around. I've never been to Calgary, and actually haven't been to Vancouver either, which is on my bucket list to do, because I know they're both great areas. But yeah, so we have something in common. We're both Canucks. So let me ask you something. I know you've got to be, Melissa, you've got to be, being from Canada. Do you watch any hockey?
I do watch hockey. I will say I have watched less hockey in the more recent years. I used to watch the Flames religiously, but that was a long time ago, like back when Denis and Iginla were playing. So that's a long time ago.
Well, I've been a Leaf fan pretty much all my life, and I've watched them lose miserably over the years. But nevertheless, we always used to pack out the arena. That's one thing I can say about my fellow Canadians is even when you got a losing team, you still get out and support it. So it's always fun to watch.
Oh, for sure.
So let me, Cindy, if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump in here real quick. So obviously you're one of the Canadians on tour, and as you mentioned, you've played for Ohio State. Tell us about your time there. How was your experience at Ohio State?
It was one of a kind, I would say. I don't have enough good things to say about it. I think that I grew a lot as a player and a person there, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was surrounded by a group of ladies who we all had the same goals in mind. Like, we wanted to win a national championship. And, I mean, I would say most of us wanted to turn professional as well at post-collegiate career. So we're all quite individually motivated as well, which is always a really good environment to be in because it just makes you work that much harder as well. And then, I mean, Coach Hession, we talked a little bit about her, but she was really the reason why I went to Ohio State and chose to go there because, I mean, people told me, like, why do you want to go to Ohio State? It's so cold still. They're like, you're not going south. And for me, it was because of Coach Hession. And also they had just built a really new indoor practice facility. So with having a really good practice facility for the winter time and having a coach in which I felt like I could learn a lot from, I mean, that was really important to me because, I mean, everyone told me going into it, like, coach is going to push your buttons. And I'm like, great, like, that's what I want. I want to get better. But, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Well, and, you know, I can tell you, being a fellow Canadian, that I agree with your friends on one respect. Yeah, you needed to come a little further south if you want to stay warm. Ohio can get pretty cold. But you're used to that, obviously, being from Calgary, as you mentioned. You're used to some cold weather, so you can certainly tough it out. Now, you're also a multi-year member of Canada's national golf team. What about that? How did you manage to get into that? And was that obviously it was a great experience as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I made the national team, I think, either when I was 15 or 16. So it's been quite a while now. And I started on the junior development team, which was really great because I feel like that gave me a leg up going into playing amateur tournaments and collegiate tournaments, because what would happen was that we would have training camps every month, and they were about 4 to 5 days long. So I was missing school about 4 to 5 times, or 4 to 5 days out of a month, every month out of a year. So I had to really be on top of my schedule to make sure I reached out to my teachers, whether I had assignments or homework due, and to be really proactive in how I was going to complete my studies, like while I was training, because the training camps were super intense. I mean, you would wake up early and you probably work from like 6 until 9, just because, you know, when you have just a handful of days together out of the month, like you want to get as much work as you can in. So I feel like that made me grow up a little bit when I was younger. Not that I wasn't already mature, but I just feel like it kind of kicked it to another level where you already had to know how to travel on your own. And, of course, we would meet our national team coach once we were at the destination. But for the most part, you had to be pretty independent and learn a little bit of I guess there was a taste of what professional golf would be like. But, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like that, too, has really grown who I am as a player and as a person, because there was just a lot of traveling that we were able to do and got to play a lot of top-notch events and play a lot of international events that I probably wouldn't have played if I weren't on the team.
Yeah, and you know, it's obviously, as you said, it's a great experience, and it helps you grow as a young lady to learn to balance, find it a balancing act between playing and obviously your education. And Cindy can certainly relate to that. She was a member and also attended the University of Miami, so I know she can relate a lot about having to balance her academics with her golfing career as well. Cindy, go ahead.
So what I just heard from you, it's funny because our son and I talk a lot, and he's a really good player. He's like a +5 at a really hard course. Played in a couple USGA events last year. He's an amateur now. But what we were discussing is those who really choose to get better have to really look in the mirror and be willing and open to learning. And that's exactly what I just heard you say. So many people are afraid to look in the mirror to see their flaws when they don't understand that once they see them, there's a way to fix them. So tell me what your hardest lesson that you've had to learn about you has been.
My hardest lesson? Well, I just think that the hardest moment that I probably face in golf as far as getting injured my rookie year and kind of the comeback coming from there. But I would say something that I learned in college would be, I mean, I like to practice a certain way. I'm a range rat. I'm not one who likes to play. And Coach had us do a lot of drills that we had to finish, especially in my freshman year. And it was like, you got to finish these, like there's no quitting. And, of course, like that can be frustrating when you've got other things on your plate and stuff. But the one thing that I did tell myself for sure during college is that, like, listen, like I know that some people can get really over it. They can get over college golf as soon as they are, you know, juniors and seniors, that they've been in it for a few years. And then they just stop listening to their coaches. And I was like, Jaclyn, like, I don't ever want you to become like that. Like, everything that you're doing in college is going to help you later. And everything that coach wants you to do never has any ill intent. Like, she's always asking you to do something because she wants you to get better. And so, I mean, I, in college, learned that I needed to incorporate a little bit more playtime into my practice, and that was actually beneficial. So I learned to be a bit more efficient on the range and just like in my practice to then be able to also take lessons from playing out on the golf course, because spending 2-3 hours on the range isn't really going to do you much good if you can't transfer those skills.
There you go. Awesome. What's the best part of your game?
Funny enough, I would say my long game still. My long game has been a strength of mine for a while, and definitely has suffered a little bit with my wrist injury. So my short game has had to get a little bit better to kind of balance that out. But predominantly, I'm a good driver of the ball.
Awesome. Ted?
Interesting, you know, that you say that, because most of the young ladies that we've had on here over the years, with a few exceptions, all say the same thing. The long game seems to be their strength, whether it's driving or their irons or what. I don't hear a lot of them saying their short game is really their strength. Do you think there's a reason for that? Do you think that much like on the men's tours that everybody's trying to get those extra yards, so they're focusing a lot on the long game? Do you think that's the same for you, Jaclyn?
I think that the men's game and the women's game is a little bit different, where the men's game, from my perspective, like everyone hits it far. So if you're not hitting it far, like you're a bit of it at a disadvantage. Versus on the women's side, if you can hit it far and you can hit it straight, it actually does give you a bit of an advantage to some of the courses that we play, because you can take some of the hazards that are in play out of play just by choosing a different club. And then having shorter clubs in, like, that's always an advantage, especially when we're having par threes that are like 190 or 200 yards long. If you're hitting a 5-iron or a 4-iron versus someone else is hitting their 7-wood or some 3-wood, like, that's a huge advantage. But I think that with a lot of the girls being so well with their long game, for sure short game is where the game is really differentiated and who's winning and who's not. Because with the women's game, I think everyone hits the ball well. Like, everyone hits it straight. So
right.
You really gotta make up your shots with your short game, whether it's converting birdie putts or having really good par saves.
Do you think also, too, and, you know, we hear a lot of amateurs say this, that, you know, and I know you girls work on your short games much differently than obviously the amateurs do, but do you think even for you guys that, you know, it's not as much fun working on putting and little chip shots for most people? Now, maybe not your case, I don't know, that's what I'm asking this for. But so people, you know, like you say, you're a range rat. I'm kind of that way too. I like to get out there and, you know, stripe it out in the range and really, you know, see what distance I can get and how I can shape my shots and so forth. Do you think that that's part of why it's more challenging to work on the short game? Because it's, let's face it, it's sometimes not as much fun as getting up there with your driver and belting it out, you know, 280 or whatever the case may be. Do you think that's part of it? Is that the case for you?
I would say yes and no. I mean, I feel like maybe short game's a little less sexy to be practicing, but
right.
There's actually so many different drills and things that you can be doing with your short game. I think it's just about finding them. I do think that on an amateur level, going to the range, like that's what practicing is. You know, like people that tell you to go practice putting, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? Like, what does practicing putting even mean? But I think that practicing putting for me, I actually quite enjoy it because I like completing drills and I like having little challenges that I can do and seeing. I mean, in different ways. I'm either counting points or I'm seeing in how quick can I complete the drill.
Exactly. Now, you, I believe, if I read everything correctly, 2019 was your rookie year, correct?
Yes, it was.
Yep. So you come in just a year before this lovely pandemic hits. You're getting ready to really fire up your career, and then obviously everything sort of comes to a grinding halt. Last year, in 2021, you played in some events, 10 I believe, and you made 6 cuts. Give us an idea overall, how would you describe last season with respect to your play? How do you feel you played overall? Obviously, you probably would have liked to have made a few more cuts. And then where do you see what's this season looking like so far?
Yeah, so 2021 definitely didn't really go as planned. I was finishing up my medical extension that I got from my injury in my rookie year. So, I mean, to get injured in 2019 and then finally play out the medical extension in 2021, it felt like it was a long time coming. And, yeah, I felt like my play, it didn't really reflect all the time and effort that I put into it. But, you know, that's golf. That can be said for a lot of people. And, yeah, I just felt like there's a little bit more in the tank that I can put out there. So it was a little bit disappointed, but I also know that coming back from the injury and then having COVID year, didn't really have a lot of time to really ease myself back into tournament play, because you learn so much when you play a tournament versus you're just playing around at your home course or you're just practicing. It's just a different level, and you learn things every single round that you play. So I feel like, I guess my lack of play last year definitely hurt me a little bit, because I would have liked to make a few more cuts and, you know, like get a bit more into the mindset of like how you were playing on the weekend versus for the first 2 days. Because it brings in a bit of some different nerves, especially like if you could put yourself in contention. You can't recreate those feelings on the first 2 days of a tournament. And so this year I'm just really looking forward to having a bit more of a set-out schedule where I know exactly which tournaments I'll be playing, because last year's a bit of a hit and miss. It would be like, okay, I'm going to play this event. If I get in, like, depends on the reshuffle and whatnot. There was a lot of ifs and buts with my schedule last year. So this year I'm really looking forward to playing it full out on the Epson Tour, and then hopefully come top 10 on the money list and can regain my LPGA Tour card.
Very good. Cindy, go ahead.
I'm so impressed with you.
I
really am.
You.
I mean, you get it. You get it, and you're not beating yourself up, which is awesome. What do you do for fun?
Oh man, honestly, I like to nap. I don't get enough naps in. But you know how the days can be long, and especially with the hot weather that we play in.
Do I know how the days?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, you do know how the days go. Yeah. So honestly, I try to prioritize like my sleep and stuff. Of course, we visit some really cool places. So, for example, this week in Utah, we're really close to Zion. So after the tournament's over, for sure, I would love to go visit either Zion or Bryce Canyon. So I like to be adventurous when I can, but you really got to be careful with that out here, because you don't want to be wasting your energy doing something else when you've got a 3-week stretch to play. But I also like reading as well. Yeah, pretty much I just like relaxing. I like to do adventurous things when I feel like it's not going to affect the next week's plans. But for sure on the road in between tournament rounds, definitely relaxing is a big go-to for me.
Awesome.
So
Ted?
let me ask you, Jaclyn, just a final question. This was something I couldn't resist asking. So this is kind of a fun fact, I guess, about you. You admit to being an adventurous eater and foodie. What's up with that? Tell us about that.
I mean, I eat absolutely everything. Maybe not absolutely everything, but I eat a lot of different kinds of foods. I'm Chinese, so I mean, in our culture, we do eat a lot of different parts of the animals, and yeah, there's a lot of things that I would eat, like even in just like normal Chinese cuisine, dim sum, where like, I mean, chicken feet is served. I eat that, and there's something called tripe, which is like the lining of the stomach, and I eat that as well. I've eaten cow tongue before, and these things like I view as normal to me. Like it's not like I'm going to try this. Like I view these dishes as normal.
Well, I can say I've had tripe. I haven't had the cow's tongue and that, but I'm Italian, so for us, we just throw spaghetti sauce on whatever it is. If we're not sure what it is or what it's going to taste like, we just mix it up with a little spaghetti pasta sauce, and we're good to go. And
yes.
Well, you know, it covers a multitude of sins. But, you know, it's interesting. Now, do you really like to cook as well? I mean, obviously you enjoy eating a lot of different variety of things and trying things. Are you a big cook? Like when you go out on tour, I know sometimes it's not always easy, but some of them, depending on where they're staying, if they're staying on their own or if they're staying at some of the housing that's available, do you try to cook as much as possible, or is that just something when you sort of your off weeks?
Yeah, honestly, more so just at home during the off season. When I'm in season, I feel like all my cooking skills go out the window. I really love cooking, but like cooking in an environment that I'm like really comfortable with. So like at home, that's like my bread and butter. And my dad's a really good cook. He cooks most of the food in our house. My mom cooks most of the Chinese food in our house. So I get a mix of skill learning from each. And so when I'm in off season and like I'm settled down in a place, so honestly, if I have a question about cooking, I'll usually call them up and be like, hey, what is the recipe for this? Or like, I'm about to cook this. What do you do for this? And I do enjoy cooking, but on the road, I just find that it's too much of a hassle. And honestly, I probably make things that I would never serve anyone else. Like sometimes it's really just about fueling my body. And I'm like, okay, like this doesn't taste amazing, but like I'll eat it, but I'm never ever gonna serve it to anyone else. I was like, hi, I've made dinner for you.
Well, you've got to have everything in life is a balancing act, and it's good that you enjoy it, and obviously you enjoy a lot of different foods and things like that. But sometimes you just kind of need a break from the kitchen and say, you know what, I'm just going to go out and let somebody else do the cooking, or I'm going to go and get it somewhere else. So I think that's good. Well, Jaclyn, we want to thank you for joining us this morning, and best of luck this season. I know you're coming really into a full season since you mentioned you had the wrist injury and that. So this is going to be really your first big test, back in a healthier frame, if you will. So good luck this season. We wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you both.
Good luck, honey. Make a lot of birdies.
Thank you. I'm going to try.
All right. Thank you, Jaclyn. All right, it was Jaclyn Lee. Very interesting, and I agree with you real quick, and then we got to move on. I agree with you. I think she's a very impressive. I know I've said this, and it sounds like a catchphrase, but I'm really impressed, to be honest, Cindy, and I think you would agree. Obviously, there's going to be some more than others, but overall, just I don't even want to say professionalism. Obviously, that's there, but just the maturity level of a lot of these young ladies that we have on the show is just amazing how together they are, how focused they are, and just how they're able to differentiate when it's time to go to work and when it's time to just sort of kick back and nap, as she eloquently put it. They seem to be able to find a balance in their life for the most part. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And not down on herself at all. Totally trusting and believing. It's just, it's awesome. Awesome. I was totally impressed.
Yeah. Because I can tell you when I was her age, it was a whole different story. I was not together. I mean, I was pretty conservative and pretty, smart about certain things, but I think she's a lot more together than I was probably till I was 30. So, but anyways, all right. So we're going to move on and bring on our next guest. I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then we will bring her out. Leslie Myers is with us in a moment, and she is the president of Hot Girls Pearls. It's a cooling jewelry company based in New York. Prior to that, she was an independent marketing consultant for several years, working with such companies as Obviously Social, an influencer marketing company. She was also the head of business development for Charitable Checkout, an online reward giving platform. And she has over 25 years of marketing experience with companies like J. Crew and Columbian House Records, and was also spent 10 years with Citigroup. So, Cindy, let's welcome our next guest, Leslie Myers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are so glad you are here. So, Ted, I have to tell you how I found this woman. I was at the PGA show, and I'm walking along, and you know how you kind of snoop out who's new and who's not, and what should I look at? And I saw these big pearls, and I thought, oh, those are cool. What are they? And she said, well, you can freeze them. I said, what? And I said, you're kidding. She goes, no, it's for the heat. And I don't know if you know this, but being from Buffalo, when I'm in Miami and it's 97 degrees, I don't do very well. And I've had to withdraw from tournaments because of heat. So I immediately fell in love with her and her product. And now, why don't you tell us about this and how you came up with it, Leslie, because they're absolutely awesome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to talk to you, and it was great that you found us. And I agree. Being at the PGA show, for us, it was our first time being there. And, I'll briefly say that, golfers sort of found us as opposed to us saying, this is great for women golfers. So the concept for the product was really developed when the original founder, who's close to 70 right now, but she was going through some debilitating hot flashes and could not find anything that she could either wear in public that made her feel better or that looked like something that she would want to wear in public without people, either staring at her or wondering what was wrong. And so her aha moment was stringing together some refreezable ice cubes and tying them around her neck and realizing, hey, this is actually working. So what could I do to make something that I would actually want to wear? So it's actually a patented process to make them. And I know that you can't see me, but I actually put them on this morning just so that I could relive that instant cooling feeling. So each pearl has non-toxic cooling gel, sort of like you'd find in an ice pack. The components of how they're made is a little bit different. They're super lightweight. They have a magnetic clasp. And once you put them in the freezer, they come in a refreezable pouch, which makes it great for golfers to take them on the go. But as soon as you start feeling hot, you put them on, and they immediately start to cool you down, both necklaces and bracelets, because as you know, even maybe if you're an athlete or not an athlete, when you're feeling hot, the most important pulse points to cool down first are the back of your neck or your inside of your wrist. And sometimes people will say, if you're hot, put your wrist under some ice cold water. So that's the brainchild of the product. And like I said, golfers really found us. And we have just tried to embrace the community as much as we can. And so last year when the PGA show was virtual, we said, let's give it a try and see who we can reach out to. And we had a really fabulous response. Gulf Coast Magazine chose us as a top 10 best accessory, and Gulf Vacations Magazine featured us. So we were just thrilled to be embraced the way that we were. And then appearing there this year, the response has been fantastic, and it has really turned out to be a fun member guest type of product, just something different for golfers. And I'm sure, just like any sport, your concentration is important, and if you're hot, those things might suffer. And so if you can stay cool while you're playing, I think it just adds to the enjoyment while you're out there, not to mention I'm sure your performance could improve as well.
Very interesting.
They're just awesome. Yeah, I got them when I was still up here, and then I took them to boot camp with me, and what a difference. Holy cow. And you know what? Our daughter works for Golf Channel, and she's like, I need these. So I need to order some more, Leslie. She wants the 18-inch because she shoots all day long in the heat for instruction, and she said, I just can't do it. So anyway, go ahead, Ted. Sorry.
No, so let me ask you. It's very interesting because I've obviously visited your website before we had you scheduled for the program, and obviously being a male, I don't wear pearls, but I found it very, very interesting that the whole concept behind it. So I wanted to ask a couple of things. First off, how long from when you freeze them and where, and obviously I guess climate is going to play a factor, of course, depending on where you are, but typically on average, how long does that sort of cooling so if you put it around your neck, let's say you're wearing the necklace, how long typically will that cooling effect be there before you would have to sort of refreeze them again or cool them down again?
Right. Well, it's a great question, and I will also let you know that you're right. Pearls are not necessarily for everyone, and so we have designed a new line of other shapes that provide a different sense of cooling just because of the shape of the bead and where it's located. So we have something that we call a chiclet bracelet and necklace, and we actually have even adapted that technology on a larger size for men. Specifically, we have had a lot of men. So it's like a wristband, really, around your wrist,
right.
elastic. But to your point, we tell people to freeze them for at least 4 hours, or you can leave it in there overnight. And like I said, it comes in a freezable travel pouch so that you could take them with you, throw it in the cooler, or throw it in your golf bag.
Mm-hmm.
Once you take them
right.
out of the freezer or out of the pouch, typically you can get about 30 minutes of cooling, and you're exactly right. It can depend on your own body temperature and where you are, how long that's going to last. And, you know, if you've ever put an ice pack or anything cold on you, you know, once
mm-hmm.
your body sort of desensitizes to it, it won't feel as cold anymore, but yet it's still chilled, it's still cold. And then the pouch itself will stay cold for a few hours. So you can put it back inside. We always like to say, well, if you have two, you'll never go without a cold one, because you could take it off, put another one on, and kind of switch them back and forth. I mean, they're great on the golf course. They're great off the golf course, especially, let's say, when you're done playing. It's a great way to just cool your body down in a, you know, fun and fashionable way. We like to think of ourselves as sort of the perfect combination of fashion and function. Mm-hmm. And you can take them, you know, wherever you're going next.
Well, and it's multi-purpose. You know, obviously, as you just pointed out, it not only is fashionable for women to have them, but it also serves another purpose. It's helping to cool them down when they get out on the golf course, and obviously they could use it elsewhere besides the golf course. But no, I think it's a very interesting product. And so I'm assuming then that the pearls, as you were, or the items, are actually hollow, that have something inside them. Is that the idea? Did I understand you correctly?
Right. So the cooling gel is actually a mixture of a powder and a water that creates more like a paste. So it's not like water that will expand and contract, like when you freeze water and
right.
it turns to ice. It won't do that. So because of the combination, the compounds that we've made, they're actually really, really lightweight. And I'm sure Cindy, now that she's worn them, you know, on or off the golf course, can attest. They look like they might be heavy, and this, I think, is another reason why women like wearing them while they're playing, is they're so lightweight that you won't even realize that you have anything on. It won't distract at all to the way you're playing, and the magnetic clasp also couldn't make it any easier to take on and take off. So let's say while you're playing, just snap it on, you can snap it off. You're not fiddling with a tiny little clasp to get them on and off. And the magnet is strong enough also. They're not going to come off, let's say, while you're playing.
Right.
No, they don't.
Cindy, go ahead.
Because I played with them on, and it doesn't come off at all, and it's awesome. What do you suggest for people? What do most people want, the 16-inch or the 18-inch?
You know, I think it's really a personal preference. I mean, the 18-inch typically will fit most people, but I have heard that, you know, someone wants it sort of hugging their neck, because you don't really want something maybe dangling down, but you also want it to be comfortable. And I think that's also why the bracelets that we sell, these chiclet cooling bracelets, and we call them that because if you look at them, they actually look like a piece of chiclet gum, sort of the shape, and the elastic wristband makes it sort of nice and easy and snug, and it's not going to jingle around, and it just looks like a pretty wristband, really. And most likely you're just going to get a lot of compliments with someone saying, oh, that's so nice, what are you wearing? And someone will say, oh, you know what, it's an ice pack, it's really frozen. And 9 times out of 10 people will get the same reaction that you did, which is, you've got to be kidding, or let me feel that, or how do I get one, or, you know, so it's a nice gift. And I think women tend to like to share great finds that they find with each other. So we do find that once someone tries it and they show it to their friends, they're like, oh, I want one too.
Right. Okay, so tell us what they cost.
So the chiclet bracelets start at $50. They come in two different sizes. We have a sort of a smaller and a large, and that, even as I mentioned, we did make them for men that come even a slightly larger size in the black color. And it's one price no matter what size you choose. And then the 16-inch necklaces are $75. Like they said, they each come with their own pouch, and then they go up from there. The longest 20-inch is $95. And what we even do, we can do, is custom. So if somebody needed something either a little smaller or a little longer, we do have our own stringer, and we do make a number of custom items as well.
That's great. That's great. I'm telling you what, it's going to save me. They're sitting in the freezer right now. I'm hoping that I can use them soon in Buffalo. We were supposed to get 2 inches of snow today, and it's April 19th. Give me a break. Ted, go ahead.
So, Leslie, let me ask you, I've noticed that I'm just actually navigating a little bit around the website as we speak, and I see that you had a limited edition for breast cancer awareness, a special collection for that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're right. So, as I mentioned, our products were really originally developed for women going through hot flashes or menopause. Mm-hmm. There are a number of reasons why someone might be hot or overheated or have heat sensitivity issues, and certain medical conditions, cancer being one of them, right. Either women going through chemotherapy, for example, or they've finished their treatment and maybe they can't go on hormone replacement therapy, or other reasons why they don't want to do that, but yet are still suffering the side effects of those treatments. So we did create a special breast cancer awareness version, and that is our best-selling, our classic ivory pearls with a pink spacer in between, just to have a little remembrance for it. We also help women with multiple sclerosis, because that is actually creates a lot of heat sensitivity issues. And so in that, women suffering with that problem, there aren't very many things that people could wear, again, that wear in public, that look nice, that look pretty, and that for a little while can just sort of make them forget about it. So we do sell quite a few to women going through multiple sclerosis, other immunized, compromised women, people going through lupus or other types of those treatments or conditions, if you will, have found benefit from our products. So we have the breast cancer awareness. We also make some custom items that we call our Glamour collection that has gold spacers in between. We do a really fun one with rainbow spacers in between. So like I said, we can kind of do almost anything. If someone reached out to us and said there was a certain combination or there was a reason why they liked a certain color. We've done fun things for different sports teams. If you're going to support maybe you have a child that plays on a certain team and you're going to go sit in the heat and watch them play baseball or soccer or what have you, and you want to wear their team colors, we do combinations with red and blue and white or gray and black. So there's, like I said, we can kind of do anything.
So, and as I said, I'm looking at, and you have really so many options. You even have a patriotic collection, a black tie collection as an example, tropical, pastel, the list goes on. How long does it take from start to finish? So if somebody had maybe a custom request, not so much length and things, but maybe they wanted something, whether it be for a team or what have you, how long would it take from start to finish, from them saying, okay, this is what I'd like to do, and let's say they talk to you today? Typically, what's the turnaround?
So our stringer is right on site with us, which is really nice. So typically if we get a custom order, we can turn it around in less than 2 weeks, I would say, maybe a week, probably, depending on what it is that they needed. And you mentioned all the different collections we have. One that's actually really fun, and especially coming up for the summer, is a wedding collection. And we call it that primarily because the colors of the pearls are pastel in nature, and they make a fabulous gift for a mother of the bride mother of the groom, especially if you're having a summer wedding and you're standing outside taking pictures, or the ceremony's outside and it's hot and humid, or after you're on the dance floor, it can actually, because they're a little bit oversized, that is one of the things, I think, the push and pull of our product is we want them to look good, but we also want them to function the way that we want, and finding the right balance between, well, what's the size of the pearl and how long will they stay cool is something we definitely, I wouldn't say struggle with, but it's definitely on our mind. And people come to us all the time and say, oh, I wish the pearls were a little bit smaller, or I wish they'd stay cool a little bit longer. And that's sort of the back and forth that we deal with. When the first iteration of the pearls came out, they were actually even larger than this. And I know your listeners can't see them, but they are about an inch in diameter. I would say sort of the size of a gumball is kind of what they look like. And for some people that feels big and overwhelming. But trust me, once you put them on, they actually don't, I'm sure Cindy could attest to this as well, they actually don't look too big. I mean, yes, it's like a statement piece of jewelry, but nothing over the top. And because they're so lightweight, again, it won't feel overwhelming to anybody.
Well, I think the benefits that they offer, besides obviously being very stylish for women, I think far outweigh what somebody might perceive. I think it's very interesting, and you obviously, just to make note for the listeners, I mean, it's been featured on live Kelly and Ryan's, obviously on the Today Show, Good Morning America, just to name a few. So it's obviously gotten a lot of, and you mentioned Gulf Coast Magazine, it's obviously gotten a lot of attention. And I think, you know, traditionally a lot of the items that we've seen, and whether it be inside golf or outside, are typically there's some sort of a type of an ice pack or a cooling towel, which, you know, certainly can help. But again, it's not something that, you know, people maybe want to do. So this is obviously a very stylish alternative, and also has multi-purposes. It can also be something you could just have as a fashion statement for some of the women, and it makes a great gift. And obviously with Mother's Day coming up here in just a few weeks, I can imagine you're gearing up for that as well, correct?
No doubt. For Mother's Day, we see it as a great gift. And in fact, one thing that we did to the pearls that we had done with the Jaclyn cooling bracelet was to create this stone-like look to them. You know, most women maybe have a set of pearls in their drawer, and so they're looking for something a little bit different. So I will say this thing that we've created called the Stone Collection really does look like real stones. We do something in a blue lapis and an onyx and a jade, but it is the same cooling technology, just with a whole different look. So it could be dressy, it could be casual, you know, on the golf course, off the golf course. It really is a unique, one-of-a-kind product. And so we are proud of it. There isn't anything on the market like it. Like you said, you can find cooling towels and other kinds of products that will keep you cool. But this is something that you can leave it in your freezer and, you know, wear it whenever you want to. I actually like to wear them when I'm cooking, believe it or not. It gets really hot in the kitchen, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they're right there in the freezer.
Well, as I said, they're multi-purpose, multifaceted. Cindy, any final questions or final thoughts?
No, all I can say is thank you so much. I'm so glad you made them, and I'm going to order some more. So thank you.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. I'm glad you found them too.
And Liz, let the folks know where they can go to learn more about them and obviously purchase some for themselves. And with Mother's Day coming up, as I said, this is going to make a great gift, and there's still time to do that. So where can they go to get more information?
So if you go to our website, hotgirlspearls.com, you'll see the full collection of all of our new products, our existing products. If you want something custom made, you should just email us directly at info@hotgirlspearls.com. We are doing a special for Mother's Day. So when you use code MOMDAY, you'll get $10 on us, and that will be good on any item that you wanted to buy. And, of course, we're also on Amazon. Not our full collection is on Amazon, but it's always a great resource. I know if people have time, they can get next-day shipping for free. And so you can also find us on Amazon. And some retailers.
Perfect.
I would say we're at a lot of retailers as well. So check your favorite retailer.
Very good. Whether you're golfing or not, it certainly makes a great item. I think we could all use a little cooling, if you will. Well, Leslie, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. And again, go to hotgirlspearls.com to get more information and to see their full collection. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Women of Golf. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you,
All
Leslie.
right. You have a great.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Very interesting. Makes me kind of jealous that we don't have more interesting things in the men's side line, but she said that they are making something, or they have something, or will be available for men, so I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But obviously you've experienced the benefits from them, and it's an interesting product, and I can see why they've done well down at the PGA show, because again, a lot of women that want to play, whether they're having personal experiences or not, I think it's a fashionable product that obviously can serve a multi-purpose as well. So I can see where it would be enjoyable. All right, we got a split, and then we will be back next week, right, Cindy, for show number 302. Will be next week.
Wow!
So I hope you'll join us.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
We'll be back.
Hard to believe. We'll be back. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Again, thanks to our special guest this morning. We will see you next week right here on the Women of Golf. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed listening to this week's Women of Golf show. Ted and Cindy wish to thank this week's special guests. Remember to join them every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the iGolf Sports Network, or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. To get updates on the show, you can follow the Women of Golf Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Women of Golf. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.